Hello and welcome to another episode of GM Talks, this time with the Ruy Lopez Opening, or Spanish as some people call it. And we're going to see a model game. And by the way, I think model games is the best way to learn an opening. Just see someone who plays it perfectly, execute the right plans with the right timing and so on. And here we have Jesper, Thybo, Danish Grandmaster, who does exactly that. And it's a bit strange that he knows how to handle the Ruy Lopez in this way, since Jesper is usually a 1d4 player. If I look a little bit beat, it's because I just received news from my auto mechanic that my Mercedes will cost a fortune to repair, and I bought a flat this year, so it's a problem. Okay, well, enough of me about me. Let's see some chess here on one of the last day of this very strange and very weird year that has been, well, inflation, war in Ukraine. It's been a strange year, to be honest, and my chess has been bad this year, and I'm a little bit worried that I'm just getting old, that it will not come back to this 25-70 level that it used to be at for many years. Anyway, well, let's look at something positive. E4, E5, and we have the Ruy Lopez on the board. Bishop B5 is this, and of course black has a long range of options here. The most common moves are either A6, which we will see in the game, which is of course the very well established main line, but of course knight F6, the so-called Berlin, is also very much topical and on the highest level, and it seems like if you're a top 10 guy, you have to play the Berlin a little bit. I also played the Berlin both as white as black with horrible results. Okay, there was a draw against Timan, and I think I won a game against Alan C. Rasmussen, but also lost some pretty important games with the Berlin. Yeah. All this is well known. Of course, white can take on c6 and play in this position here and play the exchange variation. It's annoying for black, but it should not really be a problem. But it's something if you want to play the Ruy Lopez as black, you have to study it. Okay, castle. Another option is d3, which I just saw that Carlsen won the last game against Nordibek Abdosarov in the Blitz World Championship, and by the way, Carlsen won both tournaments, so he is the GOAT. No doubt about it. Castle, bishop e7. The open Spanish here is knight takes e4. It's rather popular at the moment, and if you're going to play this as white, you better be prepared for knight takes e4, which is played by a lot of players on the highest level. By the way, I don't know who this Thorn is, but he's got a rating of 2397, so he's definitely a decent player for sure, with IM strength. And all this is main line here. Black can play castle and try to play the martial attack, or he can play like they do with d6, and here c3 is the main line, and a3, that's the old main line. You can also play d4 and allow the pin with bishop g4. This is a completely different variation. So white plays h3 to avoid the pin on the knight and the attack against, because he figure he will have enough temperature to get this going. Knight a5, that's the Chigorin line. It is probably one of the main variation of the Ruy Lopez. It's one of the lines you need to study. I remember Geller, old Soviet Russian player who liked to smoke cigars and was always looking like this. He said that it would take you should probably study it around 2 years before you'll be ready to play this. But that was, of course, before computers and so on. I think today you can probably study something for a day and you will be almost an expert. That's the good thing. The bad thing is you have to remember a lot. And that's why chess is becoming a game for young people. They simply have a better memory. Not like me. I used to remember everything when I was a teenager. I could read in like in chess books when I was sleeping, and then I just could remember everything. I could remember who played, what they played, and so on. And now even if I had it on the board 2 times, I can't remember it, and I'm still backtracking. Anyway, this is main line Chigorin. Here the main opening is knight b d2. It's under the echo code of c99, and I think actually c98 to c99. D5 is, I think, maybe c97. I don't remember. Anyway, this is White is saying that he would like to play this structure. This is not considered critical, but it's definitely a move you can play. I think Black could consider playing this move now. And because the knight is better on this square than on this square. I'll just make yellow here. He does not. He played bishop d7. I also think that is actually the main line. And White prevents the knight from going to c4, prevents the maneuver, knight c4, knight b6, with b3 taking away this square for the knight. By the way, Romanician, no, it was not Romanician, it was, he played another line, by the way. He played on queen c7, he played bishop b7. Rubinstein found a way to set up Black's position in these positions, where he played something where he got this knight here and here, here, and this knight went somewhere here, and then Black was slowly with this pawn going here and here, and Black was slowly getting ready to control the king side and eventually play f5. This is kind of a difficult to play against, and I've had some bad results actually as White. I didn't get this, so I'm impressed by the way that Thybo knows how to handle this. G6 is actually a part of the plan. Black is of course hoping to play in the King's Indian setup like thing. The problem for him now is with the bishop here, his king is less safe. So he cannot just play f5. There will come a lot of holes on the white squares, and this bishop will probably be able to attack something on the king side. So here Black needs to be a little bit patient. Knight here, but he also have another plan. This is also the standard for White. This knight is usually going here and putting the knights here, maybe with this pawn also coming, because when the position is closed, something like d4 is not so bad. But even though Black can sometimes still play h5, knight h5, that's an interesting move. Knight f1, still very typical for this position. Something like this would not be good here. White just takes, and Black is in trouble on the king side, to be honest. The king simply becomes too weak. There is something, knight will come here, and White will be able to attack on the white squares and so on. So this is very dangerous. So you have to be more careful. Here the standard plan would be to play something maybe like this, and here, and here, and here. Probably usually to expel a bishop that sits on this square here. Oops, sorry. Do like this. And then put this knight here and maybe play king h8, and then you're ready for f5. This is like I told before, the Rubinstein maneuver. Now I have a problem because I messed it up. Yes, I managed to fix it. Bishop f6, that's a different plan. Black is really trying to play in King's Indian style and will be ready to put this knight here and sometimes sacrifice something. The idea is of course that this one is weak, and this diagonal here could be very interesting for Black. And if White wants to take on f4, he has to part with the dark squared bishop. Knight d3. Now this is, by the way, this is a brilliant move, and this is a kind of move that was understood only recently, that this is the way to play. If you go, for instance, if you play something like this instead, and after this, even though if you win a pawn due to the weakness of the position, black will always have nice counterplay. So and this bishop will be really strong, and you have to get rid of the knight, and you're really regretting that. So instead he plays knight d3. The problem, supposedly the problem with knight d3 should be something like this, but it turns out this is not. This is actually a very nice structure for white, who will follow up with g4 and really clamping down on this square and having a nice bishop going here, rook coming here, and basically an auto attack against black's king. So knight f4, that was also black's idea. Just isn't that good when the pawn is still on this square on g2. Bishop e3. Notice this move. So what is white's plan? White's plan is basically to play queen d2 and then take and win a pawn at some point. Maybe even play this move and cover this guy here, so he will be able to take on f4. The knight does not have a nice exit, because something like this is horrible. You will really get bad structure. Something like this is even worse. It will weaken all these squares here. So this is the knight is sort of, it has gone all in. c4 is a standard way of playing here. b4, knight b7 here. Often white would like to play something like this, but here we'll just meet with this move, and he will have a lot of fighting on the queen side, which is not what white wants. He wants to attack on the king side at the moment and keep the queen side more or less closed. So here queen d2 is a standard way of playing, and ready to attack this guy here. a5 and also a3, and the problem is, if black takes here, then he will not be able to take over the a file very soon. That's one problem. So and now a natural move here could be something like this, but white will probably win a pawn. He will take on f4, knight f4, and so he's searching for counterplay. But actually, to be honest, black is already in serious trouble here, and I don't really think it's almost not defendable anymore. After bishop d7, white execute his plan here, and you really don't want to give up the bishops like that, but when you win a pure central pawn, you say okay. And also notice this knight here. This is a very typical feature of the Ruy Lopez, is dominated by this pawn on b4. Take, and now don't take here. The bishop will come alive, and black will win the exchange, but maybe he will even keep his dark squared bishop because it's so strong, and he will have excellent play. So no, the idea, of course, this move, attacking both this pawn and protecting this pawn. So white is ready to take on f4. You cannot cover it. So black's idea was all the time to play something like this and f5 to get counterplay. The problem is that when you have a knight that is completely out of the game here, and white is really solid, and there's not really any chance this will succeed. He could play something like this instead, and white will probably just take, and he will follow up with something like this, this move, and knight e5 to release the pin, maybe e3. There's no problem. There's no counterplay coming. It's not like white is in any danger of being counterplayed very much here. So f5. Take, bishop takes, getting rid of the bishop pair and weakening the white squares. Rook f5, and here comes a nice little move, knight ed4. It's not, now it's about squares instead. There is a nice little juicy pawn here. There is a nice little square here, and To be honest, something like this is just not very much fun for white. This knight is still bad. You will have serious trouble here with this coming here and this coming and maybe this move, and this position is actually more or less totally lost for black. So, but the main position is not much better. The knight does also hit this one, so he has to do something. He takes rook here, check. Time to and of course rook f8. You just take and you take f4 and you take, because this one is hanging and this one is hanging and this one is out of the game here. So, and here this is the easiest move to play. The queen is more or less trapped, and for instance, it's you probably threaten this move followed by this move, and then the queen will have a feast on black's position, and black does not have any counterplay. He took here, it's of course totally hopeless. King takes, and white got a pawn back, so he's a pure exchange up, and this knight is still in. It's trying to move now. It doesn't. It's not no good, because after this move here, I think black had enough. This is is just. You could play this move. I don't know what you do here. You probably give check here, and then this move and this move. So in this position, black gave up. A beautiful model game for white. So let's recap. You play the knight to d3 before playing d4, and black's position simply get destroyed very quickly. So this more or less refutes the plan with the bishop f6 and knight f4, and black has to go back to the Rubinstein plan. Do you remember the Rubinstein plan? Otherwise, you'll have to watch the video again, with f6 and knight d8 to f7 and knight d7, and being very solid on the king's side. There is a famous game, Rubinstein won. I don't remember against who, but I remember the game. It's also in one of the Dvoretsky books. Anyway, it's a new year soon. Thank you for supporting the channel. Thank you for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, and give feedback and so on. Thank you for watching.